It's good to meet you. It's good to see you.
Good to be here. Thanks for the opportunity, man.
Dude, thank you. Really, before we talk about the business and everything you're doing, congratulations on all the success.
Thank you. Appreciate
You
it.
guys have really grown, I'd say, over the last 12, 18 months.
Oh, yeah.
It's been awesome. Well, how long has so anyone who's listening to this that doesn't know who this gentleman is, he runs El Chino meal service here in Albuquerque. It's an amazing meal prep spot. How long has the business been in operation for?
So it was actually established right before the pandemic. That's when I kind of got it up and going. And then from there, it's just kind of been a transitional thing, kind of growing it. And the last 12 to 18 months was no accident. We made a big focus on it because we got our location. We were cooking out of commissary kitchens and home delivery and stuff like that, but the goal was always to get our own location.
So for people that are listening, define like a commissary kitchen. What did that look like for you guys?
It's like a shared kitchen, just like a shared workspace. You know, like if you were rent an office,
Okay,
something like that.
that makes sense.
Kind of share, split up time, but we outgrew 3 different commissary kitchens on our way here.
How long did it take you to outgrow 3?
It was a matter of
Turn up
months.
the light a little bit. Go ahead.
Matter of months for the first, and then after that, I would say it was just year by year, and honestly, the whole last year that we worked in the commissary kitchen that we were at, we were just ready to go into our location. We already had it. It was already leased out, and we were working on the building, kind of getting equipment and stuff like that. So the whole time we were there knowing that we would leave. We were lucky enough to find one that kind of let us take over the commissary kitchen more or less. We had a couple people that were in and out, but to be honest, that was our commissary kitchen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. That is kick ass.
Yeah.
So why start, not even a meal prep service, we'll get into that, but why start a small business after the pandemic? Because that has got to be one of the most risky times.
Yeah.
So what month was it that you guys began?
It wasn't 2019, I think the last part of 2019.
Oh, okay. So it's right before. I misheard you then. Right before.
Right before.
Fuck.
Even worse.
There are so many people that I've talked to, whether it's they're opening a small business or they're artists, they're musicians, they're whatever, comedians.
Yeah.
I was doing great, or I just started this amazing thing right before and then just pandemic hit.
Yeah, dude, I started in the heat of it, just everything kind of starting. And it's kind of funny the way that things worked out because I was already planning it. I even used, company ink and printers to print my first logos.
Nice.
And I even started it. I worked in sales, so it wasn't really like I clocked in and out of a job. I kind of had free range. That's what I love about sales. So what I would do is I would get meals together on the weekend, and then I'd plan out like a sales route around a route that I was going to sell meals.
What were you selling at the time?
The very first meals that I sold were at a lot of barbershops. I would meet people outside of gyms. I wouldn't even go in the gyms because...
So if you make a right turn outside the gym, you can buy Trin. If you make the left turn, you can buy a pre-made meal.
Funny story. I actually got asked that one time when I was selling meals. Hey, what other kind of stuff can you get, bro? And I'm like, not that kind of stuff, man.
You just got all natural protein right here.
All natural protein, yeah. No horse meat over here. But yeah, that was funny. But other than that, man, it definitely was a challenge. One of the most challenging things quickly became shopping because, of course, being such a small operation just starting off, I wasn't able to get trucks to a store or a commissary. I had to go get the stuff. I remember days when I would start shopping the very first part of the morning. And it would shop all day because there was times, I don't know if you remember, where they would limit how much stuff you could buy.
Mm-hmm, yeah, exactly. Just because the pandemic had just started.
Yeah.
And then there were also, where did you go shop? Just out of curiosity. I know a lot of places have the senior hours and stuff like that.
Big 3 were Sam's, Costco, and Shamrock. I still shop for some stuff there.
Smart.
That was the best way, but I would shop at little grocery stores, mom and pops too, whatever I had to do. Sometimes, if you're cooking at home, you might be cooking maybe 3 or 4 pounds of meat tops for your family.
Right.
And even that's kind of a lot. Right off the bat, I was cooking anything between 80 and 100 pounds of meat between different proteins.
Holy shit.
So I remember days where there were lines too outside of the store where only a certain amount of people could be in the store at a time.
I'm proud to announce that the podcast is now officially sponsored by the fine people over at Chop Chili Company. Guys, this is some of the best chili you can get here in the state of New Mexico, and they are online as well as in stores. They can be found at Smith's, Albertsons, Sprouts, John Brooks, and Lowe's Corner Market. They have 3 amazing flavors that you see here, and they also have frozen green chili that you can get online. Go on over to the website, chopchilico.com, and get yourself some amazing chili today. Podcast is now officially sponsored by the amazing people over at High Desert Relief, a premier herbal destination right here in the state of New Mexico. They have extremely well-trained and knowledgeable staff that are more than happy to help you find what you're looking for or try something that you maybe have never thought of. They have 2 locations here in Albuquerque, 1 in Santa Fe. All 3 will be listed right here and in the description of this episode. All 3 offering legendary products at absolutely legendary prices, including this awesome merch that they were so kind enough to gift me here. All of this can be found at all 3 of their locations. Again, big thank you to the guys over at HDR for supporting. Now back to the episode.
Yeah. So I would wait in line. I would go get whatever I could, and then on to the next Costco. I shopped sometimes at every single Costco, every single Sam's, and then a couple of other grocery stores or stuff like that, wherever I could, just to get my ingredients to make the food.
Holy cows! And then what was your what were you selling in your sales job at the time?
Sales job, I was selling uniform and linen services.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I was selling a service and a product. And one thing that I like in the interviews that I've done so far, I don't bash corporate America, but definitely it burnt me out. But I learned a lot when I did it. I learned about logistics, sales, marketing. It was like a hands-on college, really. It's stuff that I still apply today to everything that I do.
Well, a lot of those skills that you learn in sales jobs, I mean, and this is just due to experience. I've never been a salesman, but I worked in a restaurant for 7 years. Like, working in that environment where you have to, if you're not selling a product or a service, you're selling yourself.
Yep.
Right. And I mean that as in like you the way you present yourself, the way you articulate yourself, the way you carry yourself, that type of thing. That is a perfect environment for generating a lot of soft skills that apply pretty much everywhere else.
Oh, 100%.
So it makes perfect sense for how that translated over. When you're first doing all that shopping, like, what type of meals are you making the first time? Where are you getting well, first of all, actually, if you don't mind me asking, how was this funded in the beginning? Because I think that's not only the number one thing that people are curious about with small business. Like, well, how do I go do this? Do I have to get into a shit ton of debt with the bank or whatever? And then it's also like they don't know how to do it, and then they're scared of doing it because it's not like tangible. It's one of those, like, starting a business can be one of those most intangible things that people can do in their life. Yep. So if you mind me asking, like, how did they get funded in the beginning?
So in the beginnings, being in sales, I was also it's not a favorite thing in corporate America, but I was also done with them. But I did get a job with a competitor. I actually sold against myself, competed against myself, and I racked up my sales bonuses. And they're still mad about it to this day. But to me, I look at it like I love 50 Cent. I don't idolize him or like follow everything he does in life. But as far as a businessman, he keeps it gangster. And
he's got a foot in, like, him and like Snoop Dogg have got their feet and their hands and their heads. Every part of their body is 50 different things.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's no surprise I am from Albuquerque. Your everyday average Joe usually gets involved in something out here. I'm not going to say that I didn't myself. But when it comes to business and making decisions like that, I decided that was something that I needed to do to fund my business, to fund my dream. Yeah. I did it legit as you could. I racked up sales bonuses and things like that. I also worked a weekend job where I went and threw bread in Rio Rancho. I would wake up at 5 in the freaking morning, or if I was out or whatever, I'd just go straight to it out in Rio Rancho, throw some bread and make some extra cash. Helped out a guy with his own route. Just whatever odd things that I could do. And then little by little leading up to 2020, at the end of the year, I was just kind of stacking up equipment, planning things out. I was putting money into marketing right away because I knew the importance of marketing. There's people that like don't make an actual official logo or actual marketing plan until they're already like, all the way out in business. I had that before I had a location, before I had anything else, and it was an investment. It cost thousands right up front. So
just focusing on that for a second, what, generally speaking, 'cause it's, again, very intangible. Generally speaking, what makes a business marketable from the ground just starting and you're in your first 6 to 9 months,
Yeah.
what are some general signs that, okay, this is something that could be marketable, this is something that could reach an audience, or it's like, hey, this is kind of dead in the water, or if you're okay with being in a niche, being in a very small sect of, I guess, let's not make it too broad, in your community, whether that's your city or your state.
Yeah.
If you're cool staying there, you're going to stay there, right? So what are the general, like, tips or signs that something can be marketable?
Just being unique. I think the biggest part of my first drive as far as marketing was my branding. I made it a point to get a full brand package from a legitimate guy that does. His name's Ryan Kellogg. Kellogg works with a ton of businesses here in town, and he could have easily told me, who the hell are you, like whatever. But he sent me stuff. I gave him ideas. Those who don't know, a lot of my branding, it's Chicano based, it's Cholo based, but also I do a lot of stuff that's like Blood In, Blood Out is one of my favorite movies of all time. Ryan Kellogg, being Kellogg, had never even seen the movie, so when I told him I wanted to incorporate it, he was actually, I was like, well, you got to watch the movie, and I was like kidding, like I wasn't serious, I wasn't threatening him or anything, but it was kind of like maybe one day watch the movie. He watched it that night. And he was able to crank out these logos and stuff that everybody loves and this branding. And other than that, I kept it authentic to the branding. Like I wouldn't try to represent something like that in my brand if I wasn't authentic with it. And that's one thing that I learned. Like you can have a product, you can have a service. Everybody has one. You can have a podcast. But what makes you unique and what makes you kind of touch with everybody? Like that's the thing, is everybody has to have something to relate to. And I knew that wouldn't fail here because we have a huge Chicano culture. We have a huge Cholo culture. If you aren't one now, you were one before, or you're about to be one, typically. That's just how it is out here. I embraced it fully through my corporate days of 10 years. There were times I hated it. Like, you definitely get treated differently, especially when you go to sales conferences and things like all around the nation where they don't have that. Yeah, Hispanic, but like also, Hispanic with, I never lost my accent the whole time I worked in corporate America. Like I never tried to change it. Yeah. I know people that'll go take speech therapy classes.
Oh, for sure.
To try to change it or lose it. I've always embraced that. But there's times when I like kind of like wish like whatever. But one thing I remember is always made me unique, and it always made me stand out. And in sales and stuff like that, when you're trying to connect with somebody, it works every time.
Oh, for sure. I mean, people, generally speaking, and the longer you are in the business realm, the better you get at it. Generally speaking, people can detect bullshit pretty well. Yeah. I mean, you can. That's what I love about podcasting. Is like people can't keep up front for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4. You know what I mean? It's not, and it's so trying. If they want to do that, you could see it weighing down on them. And I'd imagine that as a salesman, the more authentic, more unique that you are, and then that you are, so you could find your own voice in that sales environment, that'll take you a lot further anyway. Of
course.
I mean, I don't know. It makes perfect sense to me. And then even if you did decide to change the way you speak, whether that's your whether that's like your accent or your vernacular, whatever it is that you feel like you would have to conform, you wouldn't be happy there anyway.
No.
You know what I mean? You'd be the most unfulfilled individual in the room, regardless of what your sales bonuses look like.
Yeah. Because kind of like you said earlier, the first thing, a lot of the sales that I used to do were more going into businesses. Like some people do door-to-door, people's homes. That's a whole nother level. If you ask me, that's like something else, because I hate when people come to my house trying to sell me something.
And that is New Mexico culture. No one...
Well, yeah, business culture, it's similar, but it's not as personal, so it helps you out. But you can't go into a business like a mechanic shop of a guy who's been running a mechanic shop here in town for 50 years,
right, and
convince him to even talk to you, let alone get uniforms and towels from you that he's been getting from Joe Schmo or whatever. But I was always great at it. I would say there were very few times when I would walk into a place and just get shut down right away, because I never went in there selling anything. I would always go into places just talking to people. Right. To this day, customers can still contact me on my phone that I have. I'll answer it all day and all night. As long as I'm not sleeping, about to go to sleep, or doing something like that, leaving me a voicemail, I'll call you right back, and it always throws people off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think I'm that big time, but to me, that's huge. Same thing when people go and see me in the store. I have little old ladies now that are huge fans because they saw me on the news, and that's weird. They're like, "Oh, mijo, I brought you this book on keto. Have you ever heard of it? Would you do these?"
Oh, that's awesome.
Just so everybody knows, I hate keto. Keto sucks. It works. It's effective, but I'm more about like lifestyle type nutrition.
We could get into diets for sure
Yeah.
in a bit because I've got my own thoughts on those too, for sure, because those are very scary. This was like a couple of social media. Anyway. Okay, so you're starting out the business. COVID happens. I don't want to spend too much time on COVID, but what do you not what do you think, but what were the biggest setbacks when COVID hit? Because you mentioned a little earlier how you initially started out selling meals by the gym shut down. So that's one way gone. What were some other big hurdles that kept what are the big hurdles between what you're originally doing and then keeping the business alive?
So the first instinct, honestly, I don't lie to anybody, was like, man, maybe this just isn't the time for this.
Yeah.
And then right when I said that, I had just quit one job and decided to go with the other one. And the other one laid me off because of everything shutting down, it being a sales job, restaurants closed, gyms closed, all that. And it was like from one day to the next, I'm like, damn, like, I got to make this happen, like no matter what. Yeah. I had what I needed to go to do it. And it was just a matter of like, okay, well, how am I going to get this out? How am I going to let people know about this? One of the first things I did is I just tapped into like old contacts that I knew either in business, which I didn't know a lot, but I knew a lot of fighters. Back in the day, I used to train. I was never a fighter by any means. I always tell everybody I trained, I lost weight, I got in shape. But that was like probably one of the things that helped us. But the challenges were still there as far as like platforms, gyms and things like that. So I would say also I tapped into the law enforcement, military, and healthcare because they were all still running. Those were some of my very first customers and still customers that I have to this day.
It's got to be handy especially for police and EMT where they're just sitting in their units the whole day.
Exactly.
They could pop into a gas station like, hey, can I use your microwave real quick?
Yeah.
Heat it up, move on.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, I would have rather been pulled over by one of those guys delivering my meals than some guy that didn't know anything about me. And it happened because like one of the things is like, I don't remember if we ever had a curfew, but there were days when I delivered meals, like I'd be delivering same thing as shopping morning to night.
Yeah.
And I was always worried about it, but we had a lot of law enforcement and customers and stuff like that. Other than that, the biggest challenge was just the growth because I didn't like give up on it right away. But when I went into it, I was like, this is going to be like, whatever, It's going to be something that I do and then I get another job when everything opens back up or something. And then first weekend, doubled. And it just happened so fast. And before you knew it, to be honest, like I started at my house. I didn't get a commissary kitchen right away. My house had turned into like its own little commissary kitchen. We outgrew that way too fast, though. Like that was probably like in the very, very beginnings of it.
How much of your fridge was filled with these pre-made meals you're intending to sell on a regular basis?
Oh, the fridge in the house, like we couldn't even do it like after the first or second week. Like
that's awesome.
I'm like a fridge king here. I feel like I have more fridges than a lot of like other businesses and people because we have fridges everywhere. But like, I don't even know. I can't even give you a count off the top of my head how many fridges I've bought because it's just a constant thing. Like I have so many different sources for them now and all that stuff. But just keeping up with the growth, I think, was the biggest challenge during the pandemic and being stifled by, like, everything that was going on at the same time. Yeah. But the funniest thing is it wasn't, like, people buying it. It was almost an immediate support thing. And I got it from both sides because, like, we were like, oh, yeah, contactless delivery and this and that. But I had people, the haters that were like, you shouldn't be doing anything right now. You should be staying safe.
And that was, I'll be honest, there was a very small period of time where COVID kind of got was like, oh, shit, like, what is this going to be? What is it going to whatever? One of the number one signs that I knew it was bullshit was that, because, I think an overreaction kind of shows how little something might be, right? Might be. Almost immediately, how people were, like, wiping down their groceries. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, it started with toilet paper. I don't know if you remember that whole thing.
So it was the rush for the toilet paper, and that was a huge thing. But it was people, whether you're bringing back toiletries or bringing back food, and people were like wiping down boxes. Like, okay, listen, if the shit's gonna get you from a pack of Gushers, you might want to throw in the towel.
Yeah,
like what the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of things like we said we go on forever, but like the biggest things like that, and just like looking at it from I consider myself a realist, you know, and actually question, look at things, and I'm like, I don't know, man, this just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I used to make fun of the people that would go buy all the toilet paper because I was shopping just as frequently as anybody else, if not more. So I would see the same people. And I would put them on my live sometimes, and I'd be like, "Why are you buying that much toilet paper?
Yeah.
Do you really have that many asses to wipe?"
There was a website that went up, and it was a calculator, it was an algorithm for how much toilet paper your household needed, and you put how many adults, how many kids, how many times you shit a day, how many pieces of toilet paper do you think you use, and then it made a whole. I was like, if you bought, I remember I did it for me, like realistically, just for me living, because at the time I was at Fort Bliss in a medical unit.
Yeah.
And I got just locked down there. And I just put it for myself. And I was like, yeah, if you buy a 16-pack of toilet paper, it's going to last you for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, sounds good.
There you go.
Yeah.
But you have common sense, and you actually put real thought into it. You know, and like I'm watching these people, and I'm like, and this is at like Costco and Sam's.
Oh, yeah.
Where you get the huge
They sell the
monsters
giant packs anyway. Yeah.
They had to limit that first because people would go literally load up one of those flats with them. Like, really? The whole time during that, I bought my regular big pack of toilet paper. It lasted the month or 2 months that I needed it.
Right, and you have a family at home,
and I have
too.
a family, yeah.
So it's lasting. So it's funny because my chick, she works at one of the Costco's in town, and she had like just started. I want to say she started November of 2020.
Yeah.
And even then, they were still putting limits on all the stuff, and they had to have like workers stand by the stuff. I mean, people weren't just hoarding water, or hoarding toilet paper, or hoarding meat and shit like that.
Well, then I don't know if like everybody remembers, but we were one of the states that was like on all that stuff
for the longest. Yeah.
And then we'd get off of it, and they'd kick it back on. Yeah. It's just like
so, but you survive it. You move through it. You have a lot of support from, and that's the other part I want to bring about COVID too. Is that it generated, especially in New Mexico, because of our culture, it generated a lot of love for local business.
Yeah.
So when people find out that there's a new meal prep service, because to my knowledge, there was only one that was available before you.
Yeah.
And I went there a couple of times. I gotta be honest, not my favorite.
Yeah.
Not my favorite. It was not very good.
And they have their like loyal, faithful people.
Which is awesome.
Which is good.
But
every business needs that.
Not my thing. And so and the other part of that too is that business was only on one side of town.
Yeah.
So it's like they service the people they have, and that's awesome, but then it's like, well, everyone else. And that's one of the things I like the most about your guys' location is that it's right in the heart of Albuquerque. It's what, like Lomas and 4th, 5th?
Lomas and 6th, right there by the courthouse.
Yeah, right there. So a lot of people probably saw that and they're like, okay, now it's even easier to go ahead. And then there were a million people starting to walk outside finally, or to go on runs, or do home workouts. I was like, well, the thing that scared me the most about exercising is making the food. These guys do it for me.
Right.
I'm fortunate enough to still have my job. Maybe the grocery stores are a little bit too scary to go to.
Yep.
Let's have them do it for me.
Yeah.
So
and people were already getting a buzz by the time everything opened up. So that once again gave us another surge. And then the next phase of that was like, okay, well, we're not locked up. They're not locked up anymore. So what do we do? And our first pickup location was actually downtown, right down the street from where my kitchen is now. It was like a Herbalife place right off of like Central and 6th.
And what time frame was this when you picked up this location?
It wasn't immediately after everything kind of opened up. It was like that first phase when it was still iffy. I got it set up, and luckily I found somebody who was willing to work with me, kind of had the same ideals and ideas. It was an Herbalife place, and that was my first pickup location where you could go just pick your meals up instead of delivery.
Was this already 2021? Because I'm trying to think, like,
I want to say yes.
Like back end of 2020, probably going into
2020 pretty much stayed with like the home delivery stuff.
Yeah.
Everything was like pretty
locked
much
down
closed.
like crazy, yeah.
But once the gym started opening back up, like at a limited capacity and things like that, that's when we kicked it up.
Okay.
And that pickup location did really well, and what it did is kind of like put it out there, and people, things like gyms, nutrition shops, anything retail that was closed, everybody was looking for something to survive or get back up on there, and we had a good momentum. So a lot of the very first pickup locations after that one were people who actually kind of hit us up, and they were like, hey, would you like to put a fridge in our location? Which was weird to me because I'm like, heck yeah, I want to put a fridge in your location. Just got to buy one. But the thing is, like, when I first started, it's like those movies and shows that you watch. Like, nobody really wants to give you a chance. Some people do. But for the most part, like the places you want to be in and the people you want to work with, they don't want to touch you yet because that's just how it is, you know.
Well, that's interesting. One of the interesting parts about Albuquerque, and I've found this more and more as I've been doing the podcast. Is like it is such a challenge. It's a challenge to build a good reputation for yourself and build a good name for yourself, especially when it's like small business or entertainment stuff. But then you see the people that do have it, and that's reputation, provided they don't fuck it up. That's a reputation they have for a lifetime.
Exactly.
So at least it has some value with it, but you're completely right. Those initial people are like, yeah, I know the value that I can provide. Yeah. They don't want to associate quite yet. It's got to be a little challenging.
Yep. And that's kind of what it was right away. Like who is this guy? What is he doing? I want to say the majority of all those people came back around, but also like at this point, I've been in business now. It'll be 4 years coming up soon.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, which is crazy to me now to say that from the beginning of it, like we were just talking about. But most of those people came around, and I've worked with a lot of people in the city that I wanted to work with and never even knew I would get an opportunity to work with.
Where do you have fridges? Well, first of all, before I ask that question, how much does one of those industrial fridges cost?
So, if you know how to get a good deal, you can get them for about $1,000.
Okay.
And that's a really good deal. But if you want like a brand new, which is what I was getting at the beginning, because like we talked about reputation, product, image, brand. I would buy brand new fridges. I would get them wrapped before they were delivered because I wanted to have that legit presence and that.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That because if you have the money to do that and you're able to do it, and you're going to go 100% into your business or into a project, buy the good stuff up front. Because what I found, especially doing stuff like this, is if you just go the cheap, right? I'm not talking like the mid-range that still works route, but I'm talking like the cheap route. You end up buying more and more and more of the cheap stuff.
Yep.
And that price tag may total out to the expensive stuff anyway.
And they break.
Yeah.
If you don't buy the good stuff.
Exactly. So good price, really good deals, $1,000, but generally speaking,
$2,000 and up.
Yeah.
And then another $300 to $500 for a wrap, depending on what you're doing, who's doing it, and that's another quality thing. Like who do you want to do it? You want this guy that you just like he just has a page and whatever, or you want the legit stuff. I had an actual company doing my wraps at first, and they all came out. I have a good guy now, and that's the other thing is you learn, also maybe I don't need to spend $3,000 on a fridge in a location. Yeah. Let's get $1,000 fridge and a $300 wrap, and there we go.
And see, people go think about this stuff or wondering about it. They don't even know that you have to pay for a wrap, and that's there's even a business for that.
Yep.
That is crazy. I imagine they just do all appliances.
And it has to be the industrial grade one too, because I've seen other fridges in places, and I'm like, you're going to get in trouble for that. Because, like, it has to be able to have the right temperature range, has the right thermometer, all that kind of stuff. People don't think about. That's a lot of the stuff that I was thinking about already, because I never had any plans to just stay, like, kind of off the radar street level type stuff. Like, I always wanted to go legit with it.
Well, because I would imagine, too, you're putting so much. You're just like pure like the density of what you're putting inside the fridge. It takes a lot to keep all of that at the proper temperature. You're not getting people sick because people generally just think about their like their home fridges and the stuff. Like, yeah, I have a pretty packed fridge and everything stays cold. It's like, well, yeah, but you're not putting stacks and stacks of Tupperware. You're putting there's like a bottle here and then there's a little thing here so air flows that way, and they're not all weighing the same. They all weigh different, and you have refrigerated little drawers for your vegetables and fruits. So there's a lot of variables that I would imagine just don't play out as well.
No.
So where do you have fridges at now?
Now they're kind of all over the city. I used to be in Los Lunas as well. I haven't been in there for a while, but I'm also in Rio Rancho. But as far as the city, I mostly work with just other small local businesses for the most part. I tried, going further than that, and I just didn't really like it. And plus, I like supporting other local businesses as well because it's kind of like...
Are they like gyms?
Yeah,
are they...
mostly gyms.
Okay.
I'm also in a nutrition shop. I'm also in... I used to be in some barber shops. I don't do barber shops anymore. But mostly gyms. Like I got an Iron Soul gym, United Fit. I'm in F4. I have a really good one in the far northeast heights that a lot of people don't know about, but it sells out multiple times a week. F45, it's called. It's like a kind of like a class training environment, like template. Okay. It's really cool, but it kills it. But also, it's in that really good area.
Because they also get out of their class and they're like, "Fuck, I'm hungry."
And they don't mind spending the money over there at all. It's a different It's also a different class over there. Like,
No, for real. Yeah.
and that's where my
Up in the
competitor
heights,
is that you were talking about earlier. Is he's
Yeah.
in that far northeast. He's right across the street.
Ah!
But I guarantee I took a good chunk of his sales just setting up that grab and go. I didn't have to get a building. I don't have any type of overhead, somebody working there, utilities. I just have a fridge.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
it. In a gym, in a convenient location.
Yeah, that right there is why I support an open market.
Yeah.
When it works right, it works very well.
And that was a plan. That was kind of like phase 2. So phase 1 was like the home delivery thing, which I knew would work for a while, but it's the traditional way everybody's been doing it as a side hustle forever. I didn't want to just do a side hustle. So we did that. And that was just for pickups at first. So the difference from then and now is like you could go pick up pre-ordered meals that you ordered on my website. Another investment that I went into right away. Once I couldn't keep up with people DMing me orders and texting me orders, I was like, hey, we need something
Centralized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And me and my business partner, Jackie, which I will mention several times throughout this, make sure I don't forget her, we decided it's time to get a website. And
Yeah.
that was one of the first steps where we were kind of scared just from the contract commitment, the monthly cost of it. But we did the math just like we were talking about doing math. As far as like, do you have time for this? And I was already losing track of orders, dude. I was like messing up on stuff, having to fix my mistakes. And I was like, I need to do something. So we launched the website, and that kind of took us to the next level, which was figuring out how to set up meals where people could just go buy single meals, or like not pre-order at all. And that was phase 3, which got us to our location now.
Nice.
Yep.
So when did you move into the? Well, actually, before I ask that, maintenance of the website. Do you have a dedicated person doing that? Or are you doing that yourself?
Yeah,
And
it's a
then,
dedicated thing that we still pay monthly for.
Nice.
And now we've had a mobile app for a while as well, because websites, not that they're outdated, they're still around and they're still effective, but it's the age of apps.
And they're still not optimized for a web browser on the phone.
No.
They're just not, and it's never going to get that way. So that's very smart going with the app. Damn, the growth is fucking crazy. Okay, and then what's nice, obviously, I would imagine about having a fridge somewhere is your responsibility is to make sure that, as I'd imagine, you have some sort of deal with the business you have it in. It's like they're getting their cut, you're getting your cut. You're making sure it's stocked all the time. What's selling the most? What's not selling? You know, I mean, excuse me, I hate the term passive income,
But that's what.
but that's in your field. I'd imagine that's about as close as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super fucking smart, especially having it in
then
gyms and all that.
The importance of getting in those gyms was just the same thing that we talked about, the reputation.
Right.
Word spreads fast in the fitness community here, because it is a smaller community when you're not talking about like the big defined fitnesses and the chooses.
I cannot. And look, I spent all of high school growing up going to Defined because it was my mom's insurance had like the free membership rights. That's where I was able to go for free, which is great.
Yeah.
They're good gyms. They have a lot of amenities, but especially in today's world, holy shit, are they expensive.
They're expensive, and then they're packed like
all the time.
I don't mind people being in the gym with me, but one thing that I hate is them just being packed and me not being able to get the same quality of workout. Like that's a big thing to me. And the thing is, like when you're supporting the local gym, you're supporting just like a local business. It's the same thing. They're a guy that's here, or a woman, or a team that's here. They're supporting their family, and they're trying to do something good for the community, typically by providing that space. So that's the majority of what I work with. And then, like I said, the networking aspect of it is just, that's one of the things that's been instrumental to our growth, because I do keep a good reputation. Any gyms, businesses, or operations that I don't operate at anymore, I don't talk about it because there's nothing to talk about. I'm just not there.
Right. Yeah.
And vice versa for them. That's all it is. But that's just how it goes.
And that's probably how your name spread so quickly, because you're a professional guy to work with. There's no games, there's no bullshit, there's no backseat drama, which there's so much of. I'm finding about also.
Yeah.
With almost every industry here. So to be able to, it's not like you're better than anybody else, but you're just removing yourself from it. Say, hey, I'm here. I've got good food. You want good food? You want to pay for good food? Okay, we'll put good food.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So how long have you been at your current location for?
So we've only been in there a year.
Okay.
It's actually almost exactly a year now. Actually in there anyways.
Because did that used to be
a Subway.
It used to be a Subway, right?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I wasn't really super happy and thrilled about it at first, because like we spent a long time searching for a location. I didn't want to be downtown, actually. Like I was afraid of downtown, especially with back to the pandemic, like everything that happened down there.
Yeah.
And then it happened because like that's, federal city, state, everything's like right there, Metro Court. I'm right down the street. Like I have a ton of Metro Court employees. So me, I was thinking, I was still in that headspace where like they're gonna do this shit again.
Yeah.
They're gonna shut shit down again, and I'm not gonna be able to do what I did back in the day unless like what we're gonna cook at the house again.
Yeah.
It
You
was
can't
already,
go. You don't.
Yeah.
It's not efficient to go back to that.
No, and that's one of the main things I was thinking about. And then the other thing was just the area itself. You know,
Yeah.
downtown is always.
I mean, fuck,
notorious.
across the street from you.
Yeah,
Someone. So you're right across the street from Star Tattoo, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Somebody fucking. So people who don't
Drove into
know,
the wall.
there's a place called Star Tattoo right across the street, and somebody, probably a drunk driver. I would put all my money on drunk driver. Drove off the sidewalk and into the building.
Into it.
And God bless them, they graffitied on it. The owners of the store graffitied on it. Tattoo's so good, you want to hit a wall.
Right. You don't even want to park. You just want to drive right into the damn building.
But
And the funnier thing is, because I see it all the time, is if you look immediate to the left, there's a huge guardrail on the corner of the thing. So I don't think it's the first time it happened.
Yeah.
But somehow, and I'm not surprised because that intersection is actually pretty wild, man. Like,
Yeah.
there's so 6th Street right by mine. I always get scared because right by the restaurant, it's one way and people turn in there the wrong way all the time.
All the fucking time.
But like a typical New Mexican, they don't just go the wrong way. They realize they're going the wrong way, and then they don't stop. They drive faster. Every time I see it, bro, I see it like at least 3 or 4 times a day. And it's like, wow, you would think you're going the wrong way in traffic. Maybe slow down or correct or back up. Nope.
Commitment.
Nope. Time to go. Vamos.
That's real shit.
That's real shit right there.
Yeah, that's real shit. So you guys have been there for a year. What has, let's say over the last 18 months, what has been the marketing strategy? What has been like, okay, we need to hit, like, these are some points that are already doing well so we can compound on these, and this is where we also might need some work. How did you set, what was the discussions around categorizing these things and then building a strategy going forward?
So my biggest thing is that, and it's one of the biggest things that separates us from all the other competition in the area, because there are other competitors besides the one we keep bringing up, is we do a weekly rotating menu. But even with a weekly rotating menu, I still want to keep the variety. I still want to keep the freshness of it, of like, because everywhere else you go has a set menu. And if you're eating meal prep like you're supposed to, and you're being, religious to it and faithful to it, you're going to get tired of the same thing.
It turned into, when I've done one physique show, and I'm probably never going to do it again. A lot of the reasons because I got a hernia last year, but and I got surgery for it last year, but it turned into this like sadistic game because I was eating the same thing every day for 4 months. Mm-hmm. And outside looking, it's like, that's not that much time. But yeah, okay, you do it. Yeah, it's the same fucking. And then like my coach gave me ways to get creative with and stuff like that. But I mean,
there's only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do. So how has it always been a rotating menu for you guys?
Yeah, since we very first started.
Smart. And
of course, we didn't have as many when we started to rotate. Now we have we have so many different menu items. We have seasonal menus. So we set up about a 6-week rotation and we rotate everything in and out. And then after that 6 weeks, it's a whole new 6-week rotation. Whereas before, we were just doing stuff new every week until we kind of ran out of ideas. Stuff eventually kind of turns into the same thing as something else. And then even I was looking at stuff and I'm like, that's the other one. That's like, that's not even new. So like we finally like set that up to like, okay, we got enough stuff. Let's rotate it. And it's one of the things like I actually have a competitor up in Farmington. I'm not saying they copy it, but they definitely model it a lot similar to what I do. And they're having some success and good for them. But don't come to Albuquerque. In the nicest way.
That's fucking awesome.
But like, things like that. Desserts. Speaking of Jackie, she's the other hand. If I'm the right, she's the left. If I'm the left, she's the right. She handles a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, like handling website. I do customer service, but I don't do customer service. I take the calls, and then Jackie kind of takes care of everything from there.
The administrative behind it,
pretty much. Yeah. And she likes that. She likes because she'll never get her on podcast. You'll never get her in an interview. Yeah. Maybe a picture. But she likes to stay behind the scenes. But, I mean, without her, we definitely wouldn't be where we're at today. But, yeah, like, I lost my train of thought.
No, it's how did you separate? This is where we need to work on. This is where we're proficient in, and then building a marketing strategy going forward.
So what I was going into with that is just coming up with more and more new recipes.
Yeah.
Right now we haven't done them in a while, but one of the things that I wanted to do since we have a location is like weekly specials. I definitely need to get back on that. But when we got into the store, I was cranking out weekly specials and stuff that you could only get at the store, like exclusive items.
Right.
And that was a marketing strategy in itself because it just got people and traffic into the store, made it familiar. As far as that, it was just like regular stuff to me that most people were like, oh man, that was a good idea. But I guess that comes from the whole corporate thing, wrapping the windows, making the building look good, and then marketing in other areas that we hadn't hit before, where I would actually seek out opportunities. And that was almost like sales calls for me.
Meaning?
Like reaching out to, so I'm pretty much a lock with Center Podium. It's one of the organizations that does bodybuilding shows here and nationally. They're an NPC level. But when they come here, I'm the meal prep. That's it. And that was just through good relationships, networking, and then actually being able to take on the opportunity to do it. Every year we feed the bodybuilders, we feed the staff, and you'll see us on all the stuff. And just that alone got us recognized.
That's kick-ass.
Yeah, that's huge. But back to the variety, what I was trying to get to. Sorry, I'm jumping around now. Getting regular people to eat it regularly is the biggest thing, because a lot of people ask me demographics. You would think it'd be like all like you when you did your show.
Yeah.
You cooked your own stuff, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and most people do. Bodybuilders, fighters, they're great for marketing. They're great to show hey, this guy cut weight eating only my food. This bodybuilder ate only my bulk protein, and look at him. But as far as customers go, you want the regular, everyday person. And that's the biggest thing. Now, the regular, everyday person doesn't always eat meal prep. But one of the biggest things with my meal prep is it's not plain the stuff that you are eating.
Yeah.
The stuff that my fighters eat, they actually eat the regular meals.
And I was eating plain shit. What I would do is I would get a giant bag of frozen chicken from Costco.
Yep.
Make it all in mass, and then when I would put it in containers, I would cut it up, drizzle buffalo sauce on it, shake it, and then lie to myself and say they were fucking nuggets.
Yeah, exactly. You have to do it. I'd say after about I'd say 2 weeks sometimes, it's just hard to even keep on it. So 4 months, that's amazing, bro. Good job.
It was, I had a lot of good support. Both my coach, my chick, it was a lot.
Yeah, but nailing down the demographic and realizing mostly it's just going to be your regular, everyday people that are just trying to eat better. Some people, they eat them all week and then they just trash it on the weekend. That's your life. Live it, whatever you want to do. Some people just eat it for lunch and dinner. Some people just get their 5 meals a week and eat them whenever they can, and they feel better, But that's our main demographic. It's just regular people, not fitness people, not fighters, things like that.
In a big conversation, not online, and just it's always been in the conversation of fitness, and it's never going to go away, is steroids. Yeah. And so when you take on bodybuilders, and anyone who's listening to this podcast knows that I have no judgment against steroids. I was on TRT for a little bit myself because I had just fucking catastrophically low levels naturally. Yeah. So I've been on and off that through the VA. So I get it. I totally whatever. If you decide to enter on that spectrum, wherever you live your fucking life. Be safe about it. Hopefully you don't kick the can at fucking 40 years old. You've seen so many bodybuilders do that, unfortunately. Right. But the reason I bring this up is a lot of the conversation around normal, whether it's casual gym goers or just normal people who they work down at the court. They're not necessarily super into weightlifting or CrossFit, but they just want to. They've heard good things. They want to drop by, and it's they like the food once. It's oh, well, how's this? Is this really going to make me lose weight? I mean, and then they see these fitness or this bodybuilders, and oh. Okay.
That's all steroids.
Was it chicken and rice or was it trim bologna sandwiches? What are we talking here?
Absolutely. It was chicken and rice.
And what people, the workouts. Exactly. What people need to know, though, is, and obviously, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, but from my point of view, it's a lot of, fitness today in the fitness industry, there's a lot, TRT is becoming a lot more accepted. And I think in 5 to 10 years from now, I think the more demonized compounds are going to start becoming a little more mainstream, and it's already happening right now with Tren. You're seeing a Tren everywhere, which is the most bio-unavailable compound you could put in your body. It is one of the most dangerous compounds you could put in your body. It's a fucking bull medicine. It's a
Yeah.
bull steroid, which is insane.
That somebody figured out works in us and makes you bulletproof almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but the reason I bring all this up is the fitness industry has really turned around to like you're basing your food and your training around the drugs you're taking, when in reality, if you decide to take drugs, that should be just like any other supplement, and as little as you can for the biggest result. You should be very, like, especially in the beginning, smallly supplementing into what your training regimen is, provided your training regimen is in the top 99th percentile anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, because you could take all the drugs you want, and if you eat like shit, you train horribly, you're gonna not look great. Like, it's funny, there's a Vice documentary that's online. It's on YouTube, like 30, 40 minutes, and they're interviewing guys that have done steroids or that are on steroids.
Yeah.
And there's a guy that's talking, and he goes, how many guys in here, that are on testosterone or on steroids, and they look like it? And I think I was like, you are on steroids, you don't look like it. You're like a normal guy.
Yeah.
So I bring all this up. Has that ever been an internal conversation? It's like, well, if this ever comes up, if there's any like controversy behind like, oh, this is our supported athlete, they eat our stuff, but then again, due to public perception, they say, oh, steroids, this, steroids, that. Has that ever been a conversation for you guys? Has that ever been a thing for you guys?
Absolutely.
And how do you work your way around that and through it?
Well, just for starters, my opinion and stuff the same as yours. I completely accept it. The bodybuilding world I just broke into here locally, but I've been into bodybuilding for a long time. So like I kind of already knew it was going to come up at some point. Yeah. But even in the fight game, it's more common than people think. I would say in athletics in general, if you don't think your favorite superstar player is on some type of performance enhancing thing, whether it's a peptide, which are new, or some type of hormone, they are, man. Like, it's like, I'm not saying it's everybody, but it's
you have freak athletes.
Yeah, freak
athlete Francis Ngannou.
Yeah,
he exists and he's a monster. I doubt he's on anything. I really doubt it. And that guy is just a superstar.
Genetics.
Absolute genetic freak. But
then, also he has genetically predisposed high testosterone.
Exactly.
That other people need to even reach anywhere near his level.
Exactly. And then you have other genetic freaks like The Rock.
Yeah.
Where when he obviously gets on gear, he turns into a superhero.
A la, if you follow bodybuilding, Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman did the majority of his first part of his career natural and clean.
And he still looked humongoid.
But then when he got on, that
freak.
8-time champ, the king. You know what I mean? But it comes up not as often as probably you would think. But like I would say a perfect example of it is one of my main flagship athletes that's helped me launch the bulk protein side of things. So we also do pounds of protein, and now we're doing carbs too for the people like you that don't want to cook your stuff and you just need plain stuff. We do plain stuff. We do it seasoned.
That's
and then you could it's already cooked and ready. All you have to do is portion it to your portions.
And I've seen that in one of your fridges too at the main shop. Because I've been to the main shop a couple of times, and I have you guys have like a Chipotle style bowl. Yeah, the carne asada, I think that was really good. And I forget what the third one was. I don't think it was barbecue. I forget, but they're all really good.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that you guys were selling like all protein, and I thought that was fucking it's genius.
Yeah,
it's genius.
Especially like recently, the carnivore diet's taken off a lot. Mm-hmm. Joe Rogan talked about it. Game over. So that's all it takes. Joe Rogan is doing the carnivore diet.
Yeah, but it saved Jordan Peterson's life.
Yeah, saved Jordan Peterson's life.
Yeah,
but just in general, people love the bulk protein. My flagship athlete that helped me launch that, freakish bodybuilder. Road maps on his legs, road maps on his arms, nasty, just looking freaky, like a mutant. And he's one of my favorite athletes, and I've always supported him. And he's probably the most common one. I'll repost him or post him, and people not bash him, but they're just like, "Oh yeah, we know how he really got there." I'm like, "Yeah, you should come see his food that he eats every week."
Yeah,
and how much every week he gets. It's just I have to hug it.
And even when you say that answer, when you say, heavy. "Well, look at the food." That's not negating whether or not he's on something. What that's saying is, okay, yes, but like I said a little bit earlier, if you just get a syringe full of God knows what and stick it into your ass, that's not going to turn you into The Rock. That's not going to turn you into Ronnie Cole. Not turn you into this guy.
If you don't eat the food and do the work, you're just going to have mood swings and back knee. You know,
mood swings, back knee sweats, no hair. Like it's just gonna that laundry list is gonna go forever. Who that reminds me of though? You just said you're describing your athlete. His nickname is actually the Mutant. What's his name? Nick Walker.
Nick Walker. Yeah.
Have you seen that guy's fucking calves?
Yeah.
His varicose veins.
Uh-huh.
I think he's crazy shredded.
Yeah.
Crazy shredded. I'm scared that dude drops dead in the next 6 years.
Yeah. And
You know
he's
what I
an
mean?
example of the new generation. Like, I talked about Ronnie Coleman, but like, I still follow a lot of the golden eras that are still around.
Yeah.
Dorian Yates is one of my favorites. Lee Priest, he's
Yep.
a little out there, but
Yeah.
he comes real with it. And Lee Priest is one of the original ones that came out, and even like the bodybuilding organizations back in the day didn't like him to talk about it, but he talks about it all the time. Like, it's not about the drugs, but like you said, it's flipped. Like now it's all about the
it.
drugs.
Yeah.
And
Well, and Dorian
everything's built around that. Like their whole workout programs, their diets are built around their protocol, which is, people don't know what a protocol is. That's like how much you're taking, what levels, when, things like that. So it's definitely flipped in the sport, and that's why in that sport especially, you've seen a lot more deaths recently just from overusage, and then the usage of things like, to me, trend, is one of them, but one of the biggest ones recently has been insulin use.
Yeah. That's
To either
a
eat more or
one.
eat less.
That's a scary one for
But
sure.
for a period of time, there were bodybuilders, crazy, freaky, mutant-looking ones that were dropping dead because they're. One dude, Dallas McCarver, he went out, choked on his food because he fell asleep choking on his food,
Oh shit.
and that was from that's directly related to insulin and things like that.
Which is crazy because people might be listening to, is it like an insulin type or like an insulin like? No, they would literally, like what I've heard insulin being used as a diuretic.
Yeah.
Just to shred down like crazy.
Yep.
Which is fucking bananas to me. One thing that I'm glad that isn't really used a lot anymore, unfortunately, I think it is really associated to the passing of Rich Piana.
Yeah.
Is the synthol injections.
Oh yeah,
And he was one of the most transparent individuals about it anyway. But he would talk about how in his vlogs how he would go down to Mexico years ago and he had gotten the synthol injections into his biceps and his triceps and his shoulders.
Yeah.
And then his biceps, triceps, shoulders, and chest, where he would get those insulin injections synthetic injections like crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can see it. You watch his videos.
yeah.
And
Although he got one of the best synthol jobs I've seen,
it's
but it's still like
you can tell.
Yeah.
And so after he had passed away, because there was some other extracurriculars in his life, allegedly, may or may not. I think a lot of people looked at him like, well, he was known for being honest, but his synthol too. So maybe we should all stay away from the synthol stuff.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, just the first part of the ingredient, synth, like it's synthetic.
Yeah.
You're putting a synthetic foreign oil that's just gonna stay where you put it. It's not gonna stay where you put it. Like,
No.
I mean, the injectables are oils too. They're going into your intramuscular. They're getting processed in your body. So, what is this thing that's just a synthetic oil gonna
Your
do?
body's going to fight back against it in
Yeah.
one way or another.
Yeah, because you're introducing it, and then like the some of the worst ones I've seen without death, like they start draining out, and you get lesions and stuff like that. It's just nasty stuff.
Yeah.
But it's becoming, like you said, more and more common, and it's one of those things like performance enhancers in general. You're always taking a risk, and then I feel like just like any other drug, it's more common to be abused.
Yeah.
Just one of those things.
Well, I mean, I haven't been on tests in a minute, but when I was on it, I was on a very low dosage, and I don't mind talking about this at all. I was on about, at the most, was just 200 milligrams a week.
Yeah, that's
Not-
TRT.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah.
And because when I first started doing TRT, my levels were at 186.
Oh wow.
And the tippy top of what it got to, I'm leveling out right now at about 500 ish,
Nice.
550, which is good.
Cruising.
But fucking my top level was 834, which
Yeah.
is still healthy. But my God, that felt good.
Well, and that's the thing, like it's not like a drug. And my theory on drugs in general is it is a mental psychological thing.
Yeah.
Like hard drugs and all that stuff. But it's the same thing. Like when you're on those higher levels, you feel it. You got that energy. You got that strength. And then one of the biggest things is just the recovery. And that's what I explain to people, like why it really works. Especially if you're like an older guy or you have a low levels as a younger guy. You're not recovering like everybody else because that's one of the biggest things it helps you with.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Oh my. I noticed it a month in that and I've been like, I wasn't an athlete in high school or college, but I was athletic. Like I stayed in shape. I had a terrible diet like any other high schooler probably does, but I was able to run decently. I you know, it was hard for me to gain weight, but really when I got into college, I was able to pack on weight, get a little bit of muscle going. But yeah, my recovery was just, I felt like there was something wrong, but I just ignored it. But then, a month after getting off on TRT, I was like, oh shit. And that was at lower levels of tests anyway. It was like 150 a week max. So then by the time I'm doing like 200 a week and I'm getting my levels up to like 830, 840, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I feel amazing off of only taking 200 megs a week. I now understand why this gets abused. Yeah. Holy shit, this is awesome. Like, a good friend of mine who unfortunately passed away last year, he talked about this on the podcast a lot, so I know he wouldn't mind me saying this, but he was on Test and Trent, and the previous owner of Legion Iron.
Garrett.
Garrett. Yeah, he was on Test and Trent.
I like him too because he was always real honest about it too.
Really, really, really transparent about everything he did. And he, we were having a conversation, and I was like, because he had just started back on Tren, and it was like maybe I think a month and a half or so after he had started. I'm like, dude, what are your fucking blood levels at? Just even let me ask me. He goes, oh yeah, they're at about 4,500, 5,000 right now. And I'm like, yeah,
Super Saiyan.
Oh my god. But that was and you know and we had conversations about it, but you know, for all the faults in that, he was committed to it. He knew what he was getting himself into, and he knew what it was, and he was like, yeah, this feels fucking amazing. Yeah, I sweat sometimes at night, and sometimes I get a little angry, but guess what? It's just fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I've met plenty of those dudes, especially now because recently I've broken into like the powerlifting realm of things. And of course, it's there too. I mean, there's guys freaking squatting over 1,000 pounds, deadlifting over 1,000 pounds.
Do you know
benching 600 plus?
Because you had a frigid iron soul. Do you know Jake Simonuik? Simonuik? He's one of my good friends. I can't pronounce his last fucking name.
Yeah,
his name's Jake. So. He's a firefighter.
Yeah.
Okay, I fucking love that guy.
Yeah,
he's natural and lifts crazy weight.
He's a thick boy.
And we always joke, I'm like, dude, I know you're not going to. But
imagine if you did. There's always that, right? Yeah. And of course, I speak about it openly because, and you know, sometimes you come into the store, I'll be talking to my employees about it. I have a lot of younger guys, younger fighters, and I tell them stay away from it for now.
Yeah.
Because I did my whole life. I just recently got on. I wanted to make it to 40. Yeah. I made it to 39. So at 39, I went ahead. I was working out really hard with a trainer.
Yeah.
And I was just getting beat up, dude. So like I tested my levels, and sure enough, I was where you should be getting when you're about that age. And now I got my levels to where I'm not at that age now. You know?
And if you have the access to it, and you have the ability, and you don't mind, and you don't always have to do, for people that don't know, you don't always have to do IM or intermuscular injections. They have these.
Topicals.
Yeah, they have the topical creams. They have pads. They have orals. They have like a pellet as well. Those
pellets are kind of scary to me though.
Yeah,
because they actually kind of cut you open and put them in.
Well, because they cut into your ass cheek, put it in there, sew you back up, and then you have to get it recut open and replaced every 3 months.
Yeah,
and so like I was talking to, because when I was on TRT when I was still in the military, and I was talking to. I forget who some doctor in the military. It might have been BH or something like that. But anyway, she was like, "Yeah, you should stay away from pellets because of how active your MOS is, and then how you're still like going to the gym and everything.
Yeah,
you're going to be down a week and a half or so, low activity every 90 days.
Yeah.
So in reality, you only have about 72 days, 75 days,
and it doesn't aromatize the same. You know, you don't have actual measurements that are getting dispersed, even though they say you do.
Yeah,
that's kind of a weird one to me, but yeah.
But anyway, it's good that you guys are able to, you know, how I say, like, mitigate that topic. And you're never gonna be able to beat it just because that's where the culture is, and that's fine. It is what it is. But I think the attitude in which you approach it's very important too.
Yeah, because it's the professionalism of it too. Because. Yeah. And it's easier now. Like if it was back in the day when TRT wasn't a thing, because TRT is still kind of a new thing. Like you hear it so commonly now, and I love it. But at the same time, like I think about before, I couldn't openly talk about it because it was one of those dark things, you know, like a locker room type deal. Now you can go to a doctor. If you're smart, you go and you check your blood levels and your hormone levels and get that checked. Keep an eye on your heart, of course. Like I have a full-blown cardiologist. I get my blood levels checked, my hormone levels checked, And yeah, I don't go Superman on it like some people, because like that, it's always tempting. Getting into powerlifting recently, there's always that little, you got the devil and the angel, and then like sometimes both the devil and the angel are like, hey, what if you bumped up your test to like 400? Dude?
And to speak to the effectiveness of what you're doing, this is not advocating for it for everybody, but it's, again, if you feel like you're there, you always get checked by a doctor. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Go to a fucking doctor. But I mean, how old are you again?
41.
You're 41.
Yeah.
And before we were shooting, you told me that you were back squatting 400 pounds.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, I again, like, I'm not an advocate for everyone to do everything that gets advertised to them.
Yeah.
But the shit works.
Yeah.
And if you need it and you're healthy, like, again, if you are, because people just want to go straight to the easy access, not knowing the catalogs of information you have to know, and like post cycle this and intracycle this and da 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 da. But it's like, no, if you're fucking, that's where I was. Like, my diet was on point, my training was on point. Especially because in the military, I didn't smoke.
Yeah.
I drank, but about as much as any mid to late 20-year-old drinks without having a major issue. You know what I mean? I wasn't an every night drinker, that's for sure. And I knew I was in the right space, but I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And turns out that's what that route was. But you're 41 years old, back squatting 400 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I look at it as another supplement. Yeah. I think people just look at it strictly as a drug, and that's what makes it easier to abuse. But if you look at it like a supplement and understand what a supplement actually does, main thing helps me with my recovery. If even in my 20s, if you asked me to walk up those stairs earlier, it would have been a struggle. Like, I could do it now, and I'm going to be better by tomorrow. Yeah. Because that's one of the biggest things it helps me with. Like I said, when I started training hard with a trainer at 39, man, I felt like crap all the time, and I wasn't recovering. Sometimes we do legs, and it take a whole week for me to even feel better. And then legs again. Now I see why it works in that aspect too, because you just keep hitting it as much as you want, but still be safe with it, and still, and that's why I still work with like a coach and stuff like that.
Again, yeah, you're doing it the right way. You're staying monitored both in the doctor's office and in the weight room, which is important. So with the type of food you sell, you mentioned a little bit earlier, you're talking about like your bulk stuff. Like, do you have like a subscription service base where it's like people can sign up for meal plans that they'll get, or like what are like the bigger chunks people can walk in, grab a stack of meals and walk away without buying like individual guides? Yeah. Do you have that type of service yet?
That was like kind of the original thing, is the pre-order thing, and you can still pre-order twice a week. So like if you're like paranoid about it being fresh, and of course there's those people that trick themselves into thinking that all food is fresh every day or it has to be. But yeah, you can. That's the closest thing to a subscription. And then what I do is that, not necessarily like a commitment or anything, but if you get a certain amount, you save a percentage on it. And it's a really good discount. You can save up to 15% depending on what you get. So if you do get a lot, you will see some savings on it. But I mean, a lot of people have just switched over to the store, because the thing about websites and apps and pre-orders is not everybody remembers to do it. So that's like been the biggest, most instrumental thing in our growth the past year, obviously, is having a store and people be able to just go over there whenever they want.
Right. That makes sense.
And the same people that you're talking about, like, they'll go religiously on Sundays and Mondays, sometimes Tuesdays, and just buy their whole pack of stuff. Like, you're talking like 20 items and up.
That's what's up. Yeah. That's gotta feel good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Gotta feel amazing, man.
It's my favorite, but also, I feel like I had those sales before, and one of the biggest ones that's changed it is just your everyday people, like people in the area or people that go there. Everybody, all of them count. All of them are sales. But those are the best. I've seen those big, huge, they get like one of the hand carts, or they just start grabbing stacks and stacking them up, and I'm like, yeah. Get your food, man.
So when you guys are curating meals, how do you decide your macro percentages? And for people that are listening, that's basically the breakdown between you have your overall overall calories, but you have your protein, fat, carbohydrates. So how are you balancing out percentages on each meal?
My biggest thing is protein, because all of the diets that I do like and follow, they focus on a high protein diet typically. The hard part about that is that's the most expensive part of a meal. So it's always a battle between keeping it high protein and cost effective. If you go eat at a restaurant, most people don't realize, like, I can look at a plate of food that I get at a restaurant, whether it's a big commercial, like
Next to no protein.
yeah, next to no protein. You're getting maybe 2 to 3 ounces tops.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. Most of the time, it's like 2 ounces or less.
Unless you're ordering like dedicated chicken plate or a fish plate or a steak meal.
Exactly.
Go to especially in New Mexico where we love our carbs,
Dude.
and our chili.
We're a carb city over here. Like, the more carbs, the better. Carbs, chili, cheese.
Yep.
Everything. But yeah, that's like the main focus, I would say, is protein. Yep. We try to keep it between 4 and 5 ounces. And then we also have available for pre-order. If you're on hire, you can adjust any of our meals. You can customize them no matter what it is.
That's awesome.
All the way down to like our enchiladas. Like, if you want a higher protein enchilada, we'll give you a stacked ass enchilada with like 6 ounces, 8 ounces of protein, or we'll just give you 2 of them. You know, and then after that, I would say carbs and then fats last, because if you do know anything about macronutrients, fats will cost for the most calories. And if you're trying to stay on any type of calorie deficit, or even if you're trying to grow and you're in a bulk, you know, fats will get you there. But that goes back to the keto thing that I was talking about, the high fat diet. Yeah. There's a reason it's not a maintenance diet. It's like a fad almost. Like, you could do it.
What is a fad diet? And I get that nobody's built the same, and different diets work for different people. Again, carnivore diet saved Jordan Peterson's life, damn near saved Michaela Peterson, his daughter, her life. But, you know, that could also go ruin somebody's life as well.
Yeah.
But what's crazy to me about keto, because keto is where you cut out the carbs, right?
Yeah.
You're cutting out one of, if not your body's main energy source.
Yeah. And that's always been
what universe is that could be good for you?
Yeah. Like, I have a ton of, it's mostly women, but like customers that are just on that whole low carb, no carb thing, even if it's not keto. And like, I just, every time I see it, I'm like, eat some carbs, man. Like, you need them. Like, you actually need them, especially if you're active.
And your brain needs it.
Your brain
needs it bad.
Like, carbs have been like,
good carbs, by the way.
Good carbs.
Not fucking McDonald's. I love me some Whataburger. I love me some Bob's, man.
Yeah.
But not those kind of carbs.
No.
Like good, like rice. Like, my favorite carbs were, without a doubt, was fucking potatoes.
Potatoes, yeah.
But yeah, like rice, potatoes, like good noodles, like something that's actually going to absorb into your, like, fruit has a lot of carbs. That's a good source as well.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I tell everybody the same thing. The simpler, the better. Mm-hmm. So think about stuff like anything that's like highly processed, like buns. Even as much as I hate to say it, tortillas.
Yeah.
Like, I even have a couple of menu items where I use those low-carb tortillas. But ideally, I'd like to just cut them out completely, because when it comes to your body and your metabolism, the simpler this stuff is, the better it's going to get broken down and used the right way.
Yeah. Well, and it's wild to me, the more you look into specifically bread, tortillas don't have much big of a problem for what I've seen, but like with specifically bread, because people, when you think carbs, they go immediately to bread. Yeah, cut bread out. Okay, well, but cutting bread out can actually help you, because like a lot of the mainstream bread has fucking high fructose corn syrup in it.
Oh,
has sugar in it. It has a bunch of dyes in it.
So the old corporate job that I had, we used to service one of the biggest bread producers here in the city. And there's a ton of like synthetic.
Might bring the mic a little closer.
Oh, there's a ton of like synthetic ingredients in bread now that people don't even realize, especially like the cheaper stuff. It sucks too, because like if you're on a budget, I'll never try to knock anybody, because I grew up in a very poor household. Bare minimum type stuff.
Well, let's be real too. If you're able to go to a meal prep service, you have a little bit extra, so you're able to spend it in the right places. But if your only option is fucking, because that was in the mornings, cinnamon toast and a couple eggs.
Exactly.
What the fuck is up? Like,
that's pretty good.
We're ready to rock.
Some of these kids are just eating like a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
You know, and but yeah, like stuff like that. If people would just focus more on things like that, and I'm a huge person, and like I have people ask me all the time, like, hey, I can't afford your meal prep, or hey, I kind of want to do my own stuff. I will help people all day, every day, whether it's a phone call, messages on Instagram, just to kind of give them an idea of what they need to do, because I'd rather them do that, even if they're not eating my food, because sometimes they will, they'll be like, hey man, that guy really helped me, and I don't have any food. Or I've had people do that too, like, yeah, you helped me out that one time, like with my own meal prep, and I wanted to come try your stuff, and things like that, but I don't expect it.
Right.
At the end of the day, I just want people to become more conscious about it.
Which is exactly why your business is going to continue to flourish. That type of mindset right there, that's just ingrained in who you are as a person. Like, that's good. Good for you, man. That's awesome. when you're making the more unique or that's just, I guess exclusive, like the more unique plates or like desserts and stuff like that are you're trying to get as much protein base as possible, because a lot of protein in something often does not turn out the best taste. Because you go to a fucking gas station. I remember I went to a gas station one time and there were some of these protein like knockoff Cheetos.
Oh yeah.
Oh my boy. Yeah. Oh, it was so bad. And so obviously you use a lot of, if not almost exclusively, whole foods in your meals. Yeah. But how do you go about making more unique stuff?
I'd say I would aim at the desserts with that one, because the desserts are a lot of stuff that's like baked and non-baked, but we do increase it with it was nasty because they probably like sprinkled protein powder on it or something like that. So having the right type of protein is huge. I've tried the alternative proteins like the caseins, some vegan ones. They just don't work. Whey protein works the best. Yeah. Whey isolate.
Well, casein, like for people who don't know, that's the slow acting version of the protein.
Yeah, slow acting.
And I'll be honest, that was a lifesaver when I was between the ages of 17 and 20 when it came to gaining weight.
Yeah.
So my buddies who would eventually become bodybuilders, they were like, yeah, just our best suggestion is have before you go to sleep, like 45 minutes before you go to sleep, have a packet of pre-made oatmeal, or like the instant oatmeal.
Yep.
Have some oatmeal and have a scoop. Make yourself a shake, 1 scoop of casein.
Yep.
Like 5 nights a week. Yeah. See how that does. And that was just like.
Yep.
Like my metabolism finally got activated in the right way, and I was like, all right, here we go.
There you go. You're getting your protein.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like in those desserts, like the protein that we use from here at a local nutrition shop that we work with a lot. It's a very specific. He's gonna kill me for not remembering.
Is it the one off of Louisiana Manal?
Yeah, Peak Sports Nutrition.
Peak, yeah, I go there a lot.
So it's their proprietary protein. I think it's called like Isoflex, something like that. That's the main protein in a lot of our desserts.
I go down there to get the what's it called, the Black Magic.
Yeah,
I get the cereal protein, the Fruit Loops,
and we use that. So we use that because of that. Its ingredients, and that one bakes well and kind of cooks well. And it was kind of like an experimental thing to figure out which ones work, because we tried different ones, all from Peak. But their proprietary one, Black Magic, and Seth Rossi's brand, the Axe and Sledge. His are amazing too. But that's key. And then like what a lot of people don't know is if you do drink a protein shake, whether it's like a powder or just a pre-made shake or in a bottle or something like that, you want to focus on absorption. Because the main thing when you're drinking those things is if you don't add real food ingredients like egg or anything like that, you're getting very low percentage of absorption. So you may think you're getting 32 grams of protein, but you're only getting maybe 12 if you don't mix it with any real food source.
The best way it's ever been described to me is you generally don't want to take, if you have the ability to take a medicine with food, take it with food.
Yep.
And treat supplements the same way. If you're going to have a protein shake, make a little bit of oatmeal. Yeah. Make some eggs. Something.
Eat a piece of fruit.
Yeah.
Anything. And like that's one of the things that makes our desserts so high in protein, because it's real food. Like whether it's the eggs in it or any other ingredients, you're getting way more protein absorption off of that. And we keep them super low fat. We keep them not completely no carb, but we have a few that are like, I don't like to name it keto, but they're keto.
Yeah.
One of our best sellers is keto, the peanut butter protein bars. Everybody knows them. They're like synonymous with our brand, but that's the closest to a keto snack I have. And then we just try to mix it up. Like some are keto, some aren't. Some work this way. And then with the food, just maximum protein, a good amount of carbs, and the fats kind of just fall usually into whatever the protein is typically, or if there's some other ingredient like in the sauce or anything like that.
Right, that makes sense. And so what does, now that we're starting a new year, what, just in general, because I'm very fascinated with the marketing aspect, because it's like meal prepping obviously becoming a big thing post-pandemic.
Yeah.
But it's like the most easy, like the barrier to entry is very low for any like niche business. It's like probably the easiest one to be, hey, anyone can use this service, right?
Really?
So in my opinion, moving forward in 2024, what does marketing look like, especially on social media? what do collaborations look like? What do you look for in collaborations? Like you mentioned, you had a couple of sponsored athletes and stuff like that. What's your criteria for that kind of stuff? And then just what does the general roadmap look like for you guys?
So actually, this year's the first year I'm focusing a lot more on more conventional type marketing. We did some radio spots end of the year. We did a news spot right at the beginning of the year, and then I'm working with a more like a digital media marketing firm that does things that I could do, but they could just get it out there more efficiently and better. So I'm running things like Google ads, YouTube ads, Facebook and Instagram ads.
How do you feel like really? How do you feel those Instagram and Google ads work for you?
They do all right.
It's
Mostly it's just exposure.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of it is just taking the money and saying, hey, Meta, I trust you.
Yeah.
You know, it's very challenging to really get those to sink into where you want them to. You might not get the ROI you really thought you could.
Yeah.
But then for me, I don't know how it is for you, but for me, whenever I've ran Google ads and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, I didn't get the ROI that I thought I was going to. But then, like, what's realistic for me? What was like the realistic max that I thought? You know what I mean? It's stuff like that.
It's like net fishing or something. Really, it's like you're throwing that big ass net out there and you're hoping you bring something good in.
Exactly.
And that's the scariest part because it is not cheap. Like it's one of the biggest expenses that I have right now.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say it is working. And it gave me a break on a lot of the guerrilla marketing that I was doing. Like I don't post anywhere near as much as I used to, and it was becoming like a whole thing to do. And I even tried like a single person, not necessarily like a digital media marketing firm. And they would always do all right for a while. And then it's just not the same, like the authentic thing. Like it lacked the authenticity. So like the things that they're pushing are content that I already have. And then mostly focusing on just hitting that algorithm everywhere, you know, for the ROI is just, the net is just throwing it out there, right?
Yeah.
But another thing that they have that I always knew they had, and now I have confirmed, which I'm sure you already know about it, was geofencing. Have you ever heard that?
Mm-mm.
So that's like literally the stuff like when you're on your phone and
and you say it and it gives you an ad.
You search or you had search for something.
Yeah,
that's geofencing.
Oh, okay, yeah, dude. So it was like this was maybe March, no, April or so. April or May or so of 2020. I'm at my buddy's apartment, knuckle deep in the pandemic. We can't really go anywhere. Grocery stores are closing really early, so whatever. And we were hanging out at this apartment, and we were talking about, like, what are we going to do for dinner? Yeah. And he's like, I don't know, maybe Domino's. We just forgot to, like, order food. But 30 minutes later, I'm scrolling through Facebook, Specials. And it's Domino's. I was like, hey, weren't you saying you wanted Domino's?
It's not coincidence.
Am I in an ad right now? I'm like, that conspiracy is real.
It's not a conspiracy.
Yeah, it's real.
That's whole ass theory. So I found out about that through them, and then I'm researching doing billboards now too. They can even do this shit through billboards. Like you can drive by a billboard, and they can beam it. If it fits your algorithm, you're gonna get it. If you're into fitness, you're gonna get my ad. If you search meal prep, you're gonna get my ad. If you work out at a gym and like you connect to their Wi-Fi or whatever, you're definitely going to get it. But then you don't even have to. If
you're not getting an Chino ad, you need to change your lifestyle a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. Get active.
Get on it. But yeah, it's scary, but it was cool to actually confirm it because it was one of those things like, I don't consider myself a total conspiracy theorist, but I definitely pay attention to stuff, and I know certain things aren't a coincidence, dude.
Right? Yeah.
So
no, I mean I agree, and as funny as that's where I had first heard stuff like that was from. Like I think it was actually from Alex Jones. Like they're gonna be able to use cell towers and use your cell phones to make you bigger ad pushes to you and make you spend more money and make you go into more debt and you make you whatever. And you see these big corporations just doing it.
Yeah.
But then what we're talking about right now, this is obviously the positive side of it. This is the positive, and I choose to believe, the altruistic side of that tech, where it can help small businesses where elsewhere they wouldn't have gotten that help. Yeah. So it's good to know that, like, if your lifestyle or your algorithms lean more towards the fitness side of things, like, hey, we're gonna get a good ad from you guys. Like that's obviously the more positive side of everything. So that's good to know.
Yeah. And so focusing more on that, and then just reestablishing and establishing new relationships, continuing, because Albuquerque is still a land of opportunity, if you ask me. I know there's people that bash it.
It's growing.
It's growing.
It's growing right now.
And if you don't realize it, you're gonna miss the bus. You know what I mean?
You're gonna not only gonna miss it, and I think there's still time to hop on, but if you don't feel like Albuquerque is growing, go talk to more people.
Yeah.
Go talk to more people that are small business owners. Go talk to people that are entertainers, that are athletes here, that, you know, and this isn't knocking the 9 to 5 because I have a 9 to 5 that I'm very thankful for, but people that don't just do their 9 to 5 and then go home every day and stay home.
Yeah.
If you're one of those people and you think Albuquerque is failing and falling apart politically, there's an argument both ways.
Yeah.
But as far as the more intangible entertainment, small business entrepreneurial base goes, it's growing, and it's going to keep growing. Like we're finally getting, and also I'm more biased to this, but we're getting the film institute, the film college down at the rail yards. Some people are upset that the rail yards are getting torn down. I get it. It's a landmark. Been there forever.
That's part of growth.
But at the same time, you can go take your Instagram photo sessions elsewhere.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like it's in because where was that place used for? What was it used most for anyway? The film industry.
Yep.
They were filming down there most of the time anyway. Otherwise, they had a couple of I know they had pop up stuff down there, like kind of like the Art Walk or like a flea market type style down there. But there's more space for that elsewhere, and just showing growth.
Yeah. I love it. And then like things like that. You have to realize that, and then just the fact that if you're willing to go get it, like that's the biggest thing. Yeah. You can get it out here. Like I feel like there's a lot of negative energy as far as people think that since there's no opportunity, there's nowhere for them to establish a business and grow a business and things like that. But at the end of the day, you have all the opportunity that everybody else has.
And there are a lot of programs. I stepped into because I was trying to get my tax stuff because I have an LLC for the podcast, so I get my tax stuff together and all that shit. And I went down to the tax office. Turns out I went to the wrong one. But where I did end up going was a small business office downtown off Golden something. Yeah. And there's a bunch. They're not advertised very well. I got to be honest. But there are a lot of government programs. People get scared of that. So Republicans get very scared of that. Yeah. The government programs. But there are assistance and there are programs where it's like, okay, even if we don't give you money to start the business, here's like the proper channels to go through to get approved for a thing. Or this is how you scout for this. This is how you study markets. This is how you, and there's all of these things. There's free classes on entrepreneurship put on by the state government, put on by the city government. Again, are they advertised well? No. And I don't know why.
You have to dig for them.
You have to look for it, but it's all of that is there.
Yeah. So it's funny because I used some of those.
I'm sure.
The only reason I found out about them is because I was applying for bank loans that I couldn't get. Right. At least not the amount that I wanted, because banks, I don't know. I heard like real estate's kind of going that way again right now, but like business loans and things like that, like they won't touch you unless you're pretty well established or have a lot of like.
Well, I tried to get. I have a decent credit score. Yeah. At the time, so it got hit a little bit because I was applying for the loan, and then I was and I was like applying for, because we just moved into the spot, me and my roommate. Yeah. And so we were like putting in applications. They were running credit scores, so that hits your credit here and there. Yeah. But at the time, I had like a 710, 715 credit score. I make decent-ish money, not amazing money, but I'm barely over the household median. And I wasn't getting applied. Or I wasn't getting approved when I would apply because they said my credit history wasn't good enough and then it wasn't diverse enough. Yep. And they were like, we're seeing this a lot from, because I was getting a debt consolidation. Mm-hmm. So from that, and we're also seeing it in small business where people who have decent credit scores are still getting denied. Yeah. Because these banks are expecting like 20 years of diversity and this, and that because of how what's happening with the dollar right now. Yeah. And people are so scared of what's going on.
I was lucky enough to find a banker. Well, I didn't find her. She's kind of like, honestly, she's a friend. She's been a customer and supported us since day one. So she was the first one I went and asked, but she was also the most honest. And so like, we met with her a couple times, and finally, I think like the second or third time, she gave me that like that face, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna get this, huh? But then she immediately like went and all she told me is like, look, I'm gonna look into some things. And I'm gonna contact you for another meeting, and we'll see what our options are. And it was stuff that it's not even related to our bank. She's not gonna see a penny off of it, and that's why she's a friend. She found me programs and avenues that I could go to that only she probably could have found of people that I know. I had no idea where to look, where to start, and that was an instrumental part of getting everything set up and going in the building that we're at right now.
That's awesome. Good for you, man. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's cool as shit. So what plans wise for the year? Is there any expansion? Is it all maintaining? What does it look like right now?
No, I'm obviously you could see from the growth in the first few years.
Yeah.
That's not how I do shit. So
Yeah.
yeah, the growth definitely expansion this year. I've already put it out there. I've put the energy out there, and that's kind of how I do things. If I talk about it and I put it out there, it's going to become a thing, you know. But we want to do another location, and we're already looking at places on the
Oh, a
west
second
side.
brick and mortar.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. I want to do it. I've been inspired by several business owners, local entrepreneurs here. And one of the things that I love when people do is like, I don't just want to open another Chino location. I want it to be a new concept, something different. Same branding, same stuff, but just something different that I know people really love. I already got an idea for it.
Nice.
Well, me and Jackie already
Yeah.
got an idea for it. It's probably going to be hers. She'll be like head of the flagship of that, like launching and everything. She'll have my support and stuff like that. But that's the next step. It's probably something west side. We haven't quite decided between like your area out here, like northwest, or like southwest, like more towards like 90th and Central, because we got good business on both sides. But right now I'm aiming more towards like.
Do you have
the
a fridge out
northwest.
in 90th and Central?
I used to. I used
Okay.
to be at a Paleta Bar on 98th.
Oh, okay.
And that was one of my most popular pickup spots.
Well, because what else is out there?
Nothing.
You're starting to really get out in
Yeah.
the boonies a little bit.
And even like people from Los Lunes,
Yeah.
Los Chavez, and Bosque Farms, Peralta, they'd all travel right there too. Because there's actually a decent sized fitness community in Los Lunes. It's just like a lot of them just come to Albuquerque, or they have their like main gyms out there. It's like there's a couple good ones out there.
Right, exactly. Interesting. One last thing is, so as far as like sponsored athletes and so I know that's a big thing right now, just in business anywhere where
Yeah.
you can get your logo out there, where can you get your business out there. Who are the athletes that you have under your wing right now, under the brand right now, and then what does expansion look like for that? What do more importantly, what does qualifying look like for
Yeah.
that? So like, how do you pick those people?
My biggest thing is social, obviously, because that's one of the ways that I really launched the business. So if anybody even like gets my attention, it's not always people that hit me up. A lot of my first athletes were people that I really wanted to work with and I wanted to sponsor because they had a good social media presence. They had a good buzz here. Other than that, I also look for, I would say, kind of like prospects, like up and coming athletes, just regular local guys. One of the most recent bodybuilders I sponsored at Center Podium is his first show. He used to be like a college football player, I believe, athlete.
Nice.
Big, huge guy.
Yeah.
And his name was Bulat. How awesome is that?
What
Straight
category?
Russian.
What category did you compete in?
He competed, I believe, it was the classic. He was
Nice.
a classic physique. But he's just an animal. And for his first show, he did amazing. But I just want to help that guy out because I had run into him several times before, just had conversations with him. And I always look for authenticity in people, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's a big thing. Like, even in business, people that I've worked with in business, there's people that I either stopped working with or didn't work with to begin with just because I didn't get a good feel of them.
Yeah.
Nothing against them.
Well, especially since you're like, even though the business has been going for about 4 years now, you're still in like I say like if your business was a kid, it'd be in middle school right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still growing. It's still finding it's found its personality, but it's figuring out how to relate to others, figuring out how to go out. You're getting the social skills, the networking going.
Yeah.
And it's crucial. It's always crucial in business who you attach your name to. I mean,
Always.
Bud Light is still trying to recover from that. I mean, why the fuck didn't they got Shane Gillis?
Yeah, I
You
was
know?
just listening to the podcast with him and
Matt McCusker.
and Matt McCusker and
Yeah.
talking about that and the Clydesdales and shit.
Yeah, so it's like they obviously knew what they did, and
Yeah.
they burned a lot of their bridges with their main market, so they're getting the main guy, who's Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
But so obviously, at all stages of business, who you attach your brand to is important. But I would say especially so right now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's at the end of the spectrum where it's like when you're just starting out or when you're one of the top dogs.
Yeah.
Because they hitched their wagon to the wrong horse, and it really tanked their shit.
Yep.
And I would imagine for you right now, it's like, yeah, your money might be green, but your personality might not be. The way
Exactly.
you carry yourself, are you a liability? Are you like, do you just want the money that you're gonna fuck off,
Yeah.
or you know, that type of shit?
Yep.
Because
Exactly.
even if because I would imagine like obviously you want to have the best ROI when it comes to these sponsored people and to how much like your money you're putting into it. But I would imagine that if it wasn't going to go as well as you thought it would, at least it was someone who actually tried and
Exactly.
actually put it through and put a good name on you. Maybe it was fewer people than you expected,
Yep.
but the people they did reach, the people they did talk to about you, they said not only the correct things, but the truthful things and the things that are real about the brand.
Yeah.
You'd rather have that than just some as like, oh yeah, they're fine. They just threw me a couple $100 and yeah, here we are.
Exactly.
It's like,
And that's why I work with everybody from every spectrum. Like,
Yeah.
I'd say my best ones that I have right now are my BKFC athletes. Like, I don't do UFC because you can't even like sport a logo or anything like that.
Yeah.
I have opportunity to because I work with Jackson Wink, but BKFC is huge right now. But I would say they're just as important as like the guy I just mentioned, who's. It's not the notoriety or the popularity itself. It's just like this guy is doing his first bodybuilding show,
Right.
and maybe a little help him take him to the next level, and actually help him out. I didn't expect to gain a huger following or
Right.
grow. I just wanted to actually help him out.
Right.
And then my other ones, I'm gonna have my logo on on YouTube, on their pay-per-view, on a backdrop, on their shorts. Like that's key.
Right.
They're gonna talk to people about that. People are gonna ask questions.
Because you're sponsored right now, or you're with Freddie Sandoval, right?
Freddie Sandoval is actually a homie from way back in the day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, way back in the day.
Not surprising, because again, that's just how Albuquerque works.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
the funny story behind that one, I don't know how much time we have, but he's actually one of the first people speaking in networking and tapping into like old contacts. We found each other on accident on Facebook. I had just started doing it. I was doing more or less the thing that we talked about. I would literally go sell meals still on my shirt and tie.
Yeah.
He hit me up one day for some stuff, and I go to this gym, and I had to call him, or he had to call me, because there's this pretty big gym. It's over on Candelaria, and I heard his voice, and it was one of those like the bone chilling type deals, like,
Yeah.
because the last I had heard about him, he got locked up,
Oh,
and
shit.
he was like in like federal prison.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and he got a lot of trouble. I wasn't honestly really surprised. We all know like the Adam Oki stories and stuff. So this is like that same.
Oh, okay.
I came up in that generation of
Yeah,
dudes. It was
yeah.
that same time. So I go to this gym, I find him, and like honestly, almost didn't recognize him because he was very heavily prison tatted,
Yeah.
different hair, but it was the same dude. And like we were talking to each other, and literally like just kept glancing, like almost sizing each other up. And then like the questions started like
I just laugh because Freddie's such a nice fucking guy.
he's the nicest dude ever.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy, but he's capable of some violence too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like we're like kind of like looking at each other, not in a bad way, just like, man, I fucking know this guy. Like, and he was giving the same energy, like, fucking know this guy. So we started talking, and then sure enough, I was like, what the hell, bro? He's like, you're doing this now? I'm like, oh. He's like, now, and Freddie being Freddie, he's like, oh, now that I know it's you, we're gonna get everybody in this gym on it. And sure enough, man, it was a big, popular gym. It was like kind of like a class aspect open gym. It's called Evolve Strong, and the guy has a huge, pretty big following.
Yeah, I think I've heard the name.
Yeah, but it was my first gym that I really worked with, and it got to the point where I was going and filling up their fridge with meals
That's what's
and
up.
delivering to other people. And so like forever, he's forever my original sponsored athlete. And
Yeah.
I'm with that dude till the end, no matter what he does. BKFC fights, grappling fights, wrestling, whatever he wants to do, I got that dude. Because like
That's what's up.
that's one thing that I'll never forget, bro. Like I would not be here aside from my partner Jackie, like without that dude. He's instrumental.
That's fun. I mean, again, is that surprising to hear? No, but
No.
that's an awesome story, dude.
And like he knows so
Yeah.
many people in the fitness and fighting community out here. Him and his dad. So somehow we're related. We haven't figured it out yet. But like both of our families are from Tucumcari, so it can't be coincidence.
Right.
Yeah. And that's another New Mexico thing too.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, this has been fucking awesome. You're a very busy guy, and I appreciate you taking the time to come down and do this, dude.
Definitely.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Thanks for the Arnold Palmer, bro.
Oh, you're very welcome. Hey, you're very welcome. Before we get out of here, where can people find not only your brick and mortar store, but your website, the Instagram? Where can they find you guys?
So Brick and Mortar's located on Lomas and 6 Northwest, 523 Lomas Northwest. Used to be the old subway right by Metro Court. If you've ever gone to court, you'll know where it's at. And everybody goes to court. Website's going to be illchinomills.com, and search Il Chino Mills in the App Store. Instagram's at Il Chino Mills, and I am back on Facebook. I took a hiatus, but Il Chino Mills for Facebook as well.
Awesome. And then can they buy like merch and stuff on your website too? Or
Merch is just at the store level. I'll
Okay.
be honest, I suck at merch. That's
same.
That's one of the things I got to get better at.
That's exactly where I'm at too.
Yeah, but we do have stuff. We have shirts. One of our most popular items is a cooler bag, insulated cooler bag. We sell with the ice pack. Good for if you're just gonna grab your meals and be on the go. Hats, things like that. But yeah,
cool. Well, that's another reason go to the brick and mortar. You can get merch there.
Get merch at brick and mortar. Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming down and doing this. This has been, like I said, a lot of fucking fun. Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.